Sometimes the biggest plot twists in our lives aren't about what changed, they're about what we're finally starting to see. And for me, it came from my kids.
Welcome to Plot Twist, the show where we unpack the unexpected turns that shape our careers, relationships, and ourselves. I'm your host, Tiana, leader, speaker, and corporate mom. And I'm sitting down with guests that prove that growth begins often at the twist of a story. Let's dive in.
I think a lot of us, especially as moms and working moms on top of that, we live in this constant tension. On one side, there's who we think we are, tired, stretched thin, and questioning if we're doing enough. And on the other side, it's the side who our kids see. And those two versions don't always match. Because while I'm over here thinking, did I do enough today? Am I showing up the way I need to? My kids are looking at me like, I don't know how she does it all. And that disconnect is what started everything. This book didn't start off the way you might think. I was actually approached by a publisher who had been watching my brand, my corporate mom brand, the working professional, and saw an opportunity for us to collaborate on a children's book. At first, I was excited. I started drafting ideas, putting things together, but if I'm being honest, they really weren't landing. They felt forced. They felt like ideas that weren't true to me. They weren't true to my voice. So I decided to do something different. I brought the idea to my kids. Who better to decide on a children's book than children, right? And instead of pitching to me, they started asking me questions. What's this for? I don't understand the story. And then they started telling me in these random thoughts what they saw. Things that I didn't even think counted. Things that didn't at first make sense. And in that moment, I paused and I thought, who else is having this conversation? Or better yet, who isn't having this conversation that needs to? Because what they were seeing, I wasn't seeing myself. And that's when everything clicked. I now knew what direction to put this book into. This episode of Plot Twist is brought to you by Saga Publishing, because sometimes the biggest plot twists don't just happen in life, they happen between the pages of a book. Whether you're into psychological thrillers that keep you up at night, or children's stories that gently remind you what strength really looks like, Saga Publishing curates literary works that meet you exactly where you are. And yes, a few plot twists of my own are on the way. My first children's book, Shh My Mom is a Superhero, which celebrates the triumphs moms pull off in our own supernatural way that are witnessed through the eyes of our children every day. And coming this fall, my self-help memoir, Living in the Black, an unfiltered look at what it means to be an African American woman navigating identity, ambition, grief, and growth in and out of the workplace. If you're ready for your next read or perspective shift, visit sagapublishing.com and find your next plot twist today. So the real plot twist wasn't writing the book. It was realizing that I didn't need to become this superhero to my kids. I actually was already one in their eyes. And sometimes that can be hard to accept. For me, it was really hard to accept because I'm always so used to chasing the next goal, fixing what I thought is broken, focusing on what I didn't do and what I should do and what they will value and what other people will value. And I completely overlooked what I already was. And I think other moms do it too. If I'm being honest, this realization was coming to me at a time in my life where I was doing a lot of rebuilding. After divorce, after the loss of what that dream was going to be, there was a lot of questioning on parts of my identity. How will I be now? Going through dating post-divorce and trying to decide, What do I think I want this to look like in the long run? How will this impact my children? How will this impact my professional future? All these different things that are involved when you bring someone into your life. And then there's that voice that sometimes asks, am I getting this right? And that voice helps to ground me because while my life was shifting, my kids never questioned who I was to them. Hey, quick pause. If you're still listening right now, that tells me something about you. Go ahead and click follow or subscribe so conversations like this keep showing up in your feed. It's a small click for you, but a huge help for the show. And if this is resonating, drop a quick I'm listening in the comments. I love seeing who's in the room with us. All right, let's get back to the episode. So I wrote, Shh, My Mommy is a superhero for two reasons. One, for the kids, to give them a way to express what they already feel and they may not know how to say it. And then the second reason is for moms, because we don't always give ourselves permission to see what's right in front of us. We don't give ourselves credit for the love, the impact, and the influence that we have every single day. So the book isn't just a story, it's a mirror. It's a mirror that moms should hold up to themselves and say, these things that I do, these are my superpowers. And at the end of the book, I left space. I left some blank pages because I don't want this to be something that you just read to your kid at bedtime and then put it back on the bookshelf. I want it to be something that you experience. I want it to be a conversation, a moment, a memory where you then turn to your child and say, okay, what are some of mom's superpowers? And your child calls out the things in you that you may not have realized the value and impact of. The whole time, this experience brought something back to me that I hadn't thought about until the book got published. About 10 years ago, I started writing letters to my mom. Letters about how I saw her as a young adult and how I saw her as being a new mom myself and realizing adulting is hard. And so with these letters went into like a little book with folders. And there were 10 folders in the book. And I told her, I'm going to write you a letter every year until they're done. So I started off writing, and then life happened. When I gave it to her initially, I gave it to her on a Mother's Day 10 years ago, and I'd written 5 letters. And I just stopped. Completely forgot about it. And last year, January timeframe, I asked my mom, "Hey, what would you like for Mother's Day?" And she said, "For Mother's Day, I want the rest of my letters." And I remember sitting there thinking, "Okay, sure." She handed me the book, and I just stared at the pages. And I thought, "Okay, I'm going to have to really focus in. So let me sit down and do this right." It took about 2 months, and I wrote them. I'd sit down on the weekends in the evening when things were quiet, and I started writing. And when Mother's Day came, I presented the book back to her with the letters and a couple of other things to celebrate Mother's Day. And she looked at me and said, "I know you did not just throw something together to check a box." I told her, I didn't. I thought about every year that I missed. And I really want you to sit down and read it because I put a lot of effort into it. In those letters, I wrote what I learned, what I loathed, what made me smile, and what broke my heart. I thought about becoming a mom myself, how I continued to grow as a professional, what it was like navigating divorce. And through all of it, my mom remained a safe space for me. And the memories that I had in my childhood as a little girl, and then going up through being a teenager and then a young adult, all those things remained a safe space for me. She was there as I was learning to become a mom. She stood by while I was trying to figure out who I was becoming. And she was there on my second wedding day, reminding me of what marriage really takes and reminding me that no matter what, she was there to support me as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, and lastly, as her daughter. Even saying that out loud gets me because going through that transition, sharing that experience with my mom and my kids sharing it with me, it's just so impactful. And I think that's what this is really all about. Not just how our kids see us, regardless of their age, but how we take the time to say it out loud, to acknowledge it, to document it, to give it back. So if you take anything away from this episode, ask your child, what makes me special to you? Or maybe even ask yourself, when was the last time I told my mom who she is to me or whomever your mother figure is? Because those words, they matter more than we realize. So keep embracing the plot twists, not to change your life, but to show you what's already there.
Thanks for tuning into Plot Twist. If this story made you pause, reflect, or smile, please share it with someone who's in the middle of their own plot twist. You can catch more episodes on Spotify, YouTube, and connect with me on my socials. Until next time, keep writing your own story.